we finally got some confirmation of things going on backstage. And no, it was not the Elite and CM Punk situation. It was the William Regal situation. So we had this back and forth, inconsistent news reporting. He's staying in AEW. He's going to WWE. He's staying in AEW. He's going to WWE. Well, it's been confirmed by Tony Khan. He is leaving AEW. William Regal's contract will expire at the end of the year. He will go to WWE on the contingency that he will only be a coach for the next year and not be on screen. So I guess you call that somewhat of a non-compete clause? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, I haven't really seen the backlash of a non-compete clause in this situation, but I think that's set for another debate. But what do you think of this confirmation from Tony Khan? I appreciate the transparency. I appreciate him allowing Regal to go back, seeing that he wants to be with his son for the golden years of his career, and allowing this situation to happen, I think, is the best of both worlds, where it's like, go back, be a coach, don't go on screen because it's going to make us look bad for the next year. But after that, do what you got to do. So I think that's a win-win for everybody in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely respect the transparency, because that's what people are critical of in terms of his lack of transparency, or even still to this day, regarding the whole CM Punk backstage fight thing. What did happen, what didn't happen, people's certain situations. I'll tell you what I don't like about this, because this is a tricky situation. The fact that, one, obviously William Regal was a very main focal point of what we saw on TV. They wrote him off, and the way they wrote him off, well, first of all, if they're going to try to actually follow this through, knowing that he intended to leave, this is somehow going to lead to Bryan Danielson being involved in the storyline, either against MJF, building tension between Bryan Danielson and Moxley, because they certainly set that table and teased it. What I don't like about it is the fact that Tony Khan, while being transparent in all of this, is essentially saying, and we already know this, but it kind of devalues the reason you watch the show. This happened on TV. It's a medical thing. He's out. You're going to write him off TV, but here's what really happened. Essentially saying, here's the truth, but what you're seeing on TV doesn't matter. New Japan Pro Wrestling, they have the guys go out there after matches. They have them do the sit-down interviews, and they at least try to blur the lines and try to spin it as, look, I'm the best. This is a real sport. I'm a real competitor. There's nobody that can touch me. When Tony Khan goes out there and essentially says, you know, hey, like what you guys saw on TV, yeah, we wrote him off TV. He had a brain bleed. MJF, despicable guy, punched him in the back of the head. You're building a storyline off something that now in the background, you're saying it's not real. It's fake. That was a part of a storyline. This is what really is happening. He's walking away. He's going back to WWE. I feel like they could have done a better job to kind of clear up their tracks or cover their tracks, whatever you want to say, and blur those lines a little bit better.
I will disagree somewhat here. And this is only because I work in the TV industry and follow the industry a little bit closer than most people will. But two situations come to mind here, and they're very similar to what they did with Regal, writing him off, but then there's backstage stuff that got leaked out. One was the Charlie Sheen situation with 2.5 Men, and they wrote him off and replaced him with Ashton Kutcher. But we all know what happened behind the scenes. And that was well publicly known, the backstage shit that happened with him and Chuck Lorre and the people at 2.5 Men. So it's like they wrote him off, but people knew what the hell was going on. And the other one, not as well known, but obviously those that follow the show know what happened. And that's Thomas Gibson with Criminal Minds. He was a huge part of Criminal Minds, playing Aaron Hotchner. And he had a fight with one of the writers, I believe. They had to write him off, but people that follow the show know exactly what happened.
Sure.
So this is basically that same situation. Obviously, not like he had issues with Tony Khan and that's the reason he's leaving, but he left the show and they needed to find an on-screen reason, but also the behind the scenes reason was leaked out and you had to take care of that. So it's not like you can blur the lines. And this is where, unfortunately, it is a television show. Wrestling is a television show. So you're not going to always blur out bring in the real stuff with the kayfabe stuff and try to blur the two. So I actually don't mind it per se. Because when I watch wrestling, I try to watch it as a television viewer. I don't watch it as a mark that reads the dirt sheets and try to, oh, this is what's happening backstage and that's why they're doing. I try not to do that. It ruins my enjoyment of the product when I do that, regardless if it's WWE or AEW. I try to just watch it as a television viewer, just watching it, and what's going on is just what's going on the television show. Anything happens behind the scenes is what happens behind the scenes. And that's not everybody. I understand that.
I totally get what you're saying. The only pushback I would offer to that is one is a TV show. They're both TV shows, but one is a TV show that is obviously fantasy. It's a story. And that like 2.5 Men, everybody watches that. They know that it's a sitcom or comedy or whatever you want to call it. Wrestling is one of those shows where it blurs the lines. Everybody knows that it's predetermined, it's staged, but at the same time, they're trying to convince the fan, at least, that it is, the perception is they're trying to convince them that this is real to a certain extent.
True, but
that's why
having that legit quote unquote legit reason that we got on Dynamite this past week of why Regal did what he did with the Blackpool Combat Club. He understood that his time there was not needed anymore. They could do things on their own. They needed to see that, that's fine. And that's all you need. You don't need to know, oh, I'm leaving for WWE. You don't need to really bring the dirt sheets into every single storyline or every single reason why something's happening. I think if you do that, you kind of alienate an audience. In a way, kind of makes it seem too scripted. And then you are like, all right, everything that we're hearing in the news and the dirt sheets is just to try to, further a storyline on television, and we're all getting worked. Like every bit of news is a work at this point.
If this announcement I think Tony Khan made was prior to Dynamite. If he just came out and said, because I think you were actually on the other side of this the last time, didn't you say Tony Khan doesn't offer an explanation with the whole Young Bucks?
Right, he doesn't have to, and he didn't have to give an explanation to Tony Khan to Regal either, but he did, and that was his reasoning behind it. And he, gave the situation, and he could have done what I think is you're going to say is he just say, all right, Regal's going to explain. There's going to be an explanation, and then that's it. And just let that happen.
Exactly.
But he didn't do that.
Tune in on Wednesday. You'll get the answer. People are, oh, what happened with Regal? What's true? What's not? Well, tune in. We'll talk about it. You'll know.